Don't you love technology, people? They're going to fix it while I maybe have a chat. Well, firstly, why don't I just welcome you all for taking out the time tonight to join us on this special webinar, Meet the Team. Now, tonight's going to be pretty casual. We're just simply going to have a chat with some of the team members to hopefully give you a bit more of an insight into some of the people behind Bricklet, the way we think, what makes us tick, and also maybe put a face to a name of somebody that you may have already spoken to or maybe you might speak to. A little bit of housekeeping. So if you've got any questions during any of tonight's conversation, feel free to just drop whatever question it is into the chat, and the team here will make sure we pick it up and we'll throw it to us over here, and we will do our best to answer your questions. So make yourself comfortable. If you haven't already, maybe grab a cup of tea or a cup of coffee, and let's just get going. So tonight I'm going to start with our CEO, Darren. Darren, why don't you join me?
Love to. Thanks, Ray.
Okay, before we go, is the audio on yet? Can you hear me okay? Let me just see if maybe somebody can let me know that they're hearing us okay. Can you see Darren over there whether the... Yes! Brandon has confirmed. Cool. Thanks Brandon. So I've got with me Darren, our CEO, on the couch tonight. And I guess where I really wanted to start the conversation is... part of the goal tonight is about, I guess, connecting with some of the members, getting them to meet some of the team, because a big thing that you and I have been kind of working through over the last couple of months is the community side of Bricklet. Now, we're all excited about the innovation of the platform and the marketplace that, for property fragments.
Yeah.
But what we're really excited about is the community side of things. What's your take on that?
Yeah, absolutely. I think, I guess it's just started with, when we first started Bricklet, it was all about, trying to help people get on the property ladder, And so we've started to build a really good community, and it's really that community that is working together to try and help them get to those dreams and goals, So it's more about what we found out along the way is that, helping people achieve what they want to achieve is much more important than, just having the platform there and, trying to promote this great way to buy property, And so it's all about the community and helping them understand what they want to achieve, and then helping them get there. So it's great to be building out this community.
Yeah, and I guess one of the things that you and I have been working through is the idea of what makes, a healthy community. And a lot of attempts at building community is built around a vertical communication channel where there's a lot of broadcasting going on. And I guess what we've been trying to work through is how we can implement a more of a horizontal communication within the community itself. And I know that that's something that we've been working on. Something that we're very, very excited about is the launch of version 2.0 of the platform.
Yep.
It's looking very, very sexy. And why don't we talk about some of the stuff within that's going to try and cater for some of that community stuff that we've been working on?
Yeah, absolutely. It's a great place. So the community side of it. So when we're developing the platform, we came out with version 1, about 18 months ago. We've had a lot of feedback, and thanks to everyone providing the feedback along the way to really make it something more useful and beneficial for everybody. And so obviously growing the community, we've got now so many different ways that people want to interact. And so by building out version 2, we've got a very focused section now on community that we have never had before. So we'll be able to see, people will be able to communicate a lot better. We'll be able to see a lot more news, a lot more highlights. There'll be a lot more video, a lot more interesting content as well, to really get people engaged on their journey and to really help that community side of it. So we want to make sure that people feel trusted in what they're doing, and also confident in kind of where they want to go.
Yeah, and I guess I know that the team here is super excited about the community section of version 2.0. And what are some of the key elements, I guess, within that environment that we are going to be able to see in the new release? And obviously it's going to be a work in progress, but what are some of the initial things?
Yeah, so I guess starting off with, there's going to be a whole news feed around the community, so you'll be able to see a lot more information as things are happening, as things are being announced. So you'll be able to talk about, you'll see a lot of things around property, but you'll also see a lot of what's actually happening, who's achieving their goals and things like that as well. So it's going to be quite exciting.
Yeah, so again, that comes back to that whole horizontal communication. So it's not just us at Bricklet communicating, it's even members communicating amongst themselves, sharing what they're doing, how they're going with their goals, what strategies they're implementing. So sharing, I guess, their learnings, their strategies, and leveraging off each other and how to, I guess, move towards achieving our own personal goals.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's going to be, so the whole community is not just about, the achievement of the goals, but also we're going to have a lot of fun with it, So there'll be a lot of, a bit of a gamification around that as well, like helping people, achieve that next step. What does that look like? Celebrate that step, let people know that they've done that, and really create that environment.
Yeah, and I guess a real big thing for us is that we're really trying to work out how to best curate that space. We've been entrusted with this community to curate that space, to co-create it with all our members, and as we all contribute into that space, create something that's really exciting, a lot of fun, like you said, and share our successes with each other.
Yeah, absolutely, and just letting people celebrate. I mean, I get emails every week from people that are super excited. They've finally got on the property ladder, and they're saying, thanks to Bricklet and what we're helping them achieve that next step. And so, having a really good visual way to help people engage with each other and get the confidence, not just from us, but from the actual people in the community.
Yeah, cool. Now, outside of the community section, which we're obviously very, very pumped about, what other things are going to be coming out in version 2.0?
Yeah, I can't give away too much just now, but
okay.
it will be coming out quite soon.
I tried.
But it's much more the marketplace element, right? So it really just keeps it really simple for people. We've got a great user experience around how easy it is for people to buy property now. We're making that even easier, and also the marketplace around how do we make it simple for people to see what's available, when it's available, and also some of the things that are coming up as well, because we've got some really exciting properties that will be coming on some point in the near future.
Yeah,
as well.
Awesome. And I guess just to kind of sum things up there, what we really see is, the platform itself as the marketplace to trade property fragments is a great innovation. It's making things a lot easier to get on the property ladder, easier to diversify. But I think we all know that the true innovations are really going to be birthed out of that community on how to use this new marketplace to accelerate where it is that we want to get to.
Oh, absolutely. And already we're seeing so many different use cases and stories around how people are using the platform, not just to get on the property ladder for the first time, but how to leverage that to, some people are drawing down on their mortgage because the interest rates are so low, buying bricklets and building up, there's so many different ways now that people are using the platform. It's really interesting. And for them to be able to share that with the community so others can learn from it as well, it's going to be really powerful.
I know there's a little story you shared with me just when we were walking in the door before about pie makers.
Yeah, so
give me that analogy.
So I was chatting to someone just recently about, and they said, the community that what we're building around Bricklet is very similar to what was built around one of the pie makers that was released, and it was along the lines of the pie maker was the manufacturers come out with a pie maker. They did some advertising around it and they sold a few pie makers. But what really helped the situation was the community that was built from that. There was a few different communities that were built up through Instagram and through a lot of social media around people that were creating these really amazing pies.
Yeah.
And so that's what was really the benefit of it was what is it that people really want to get?
Yeah.
What do we want to achieve? We want to have great pies. You see that great pie, I want to make that.
Yeah.
Okay, now I'll go use the pie maker.
Yeah.
Whereas Bricklet's very similar. We're going to build the community. It's all exciting around how I build this property portfolio. How do I achieve my goals over the next 10 years through this? And so I go to the Bricklet platform to transact, and being part of the community is the key.
Yeah, so the Bricklet community is going to come up with its own recipes.
Yeah, absolutely.
On how to make use of the platform.
Yep.
And as they share that, off we go.
Yeah, might even be a few pies.
Absolutely, why not? Hey, thanks, mate.
No worries.
Cool.
Thanks, Ray.
Thanks, Darren. Well, why don't we grab Adam? Adam, come and join me, buddy.
Sounds good.
Cool.
How you doing, guys?
Adam, so you look after our member success specialist team.
I do indeed.
What does that mean? What do you do?
Yeah, it's a pretty outgoing title, isn't it? Member success
It
specialist.
is. It's really. It sounds really like boom.
Yeah, it's very boom because I guess like all I do is I head up the member success team. So essentially, what we do is we help you find success, and whatever that looks like for you, is what we'll try aim for. So essentially, it's our job to listen to what the users and what the new people coming on board want to achieve, and where they're at in their life and what they'd like to do, and we kind of essentially just help guide them in the right direction. So whether that's to find out what's happening in the community, or that's to talk to a specialist to get started on their journey today, or if it's just to find out more about Bricklet and how it works and answer a few of their questions and stuff like that.
One of the characteristics I found, which is why I think you're so great for the role that you're playing, is that one of the key traits to create success in the role that you're doing is the idea of listening before we speak. And how does that play out when somebody picks up the phone, dials 1300 and speaks to you or one of your team members? How does that flow?
Yeah, I guess people often call up expecting us to give them a spiel on what we are, and often people think we're trying to sell them or whatever that might be around what they think it would look like. But that's the thing about Bricklet, is it's not about having to look a certain way or be a certain way. It's like I said with the community, that we're creating a space that allows you to kind of be creative, and allows us to kind of encourage that and help that grow whenever that looks like for you. Obviously, we have sample portfolio ideas that you could use, or we have ideas that you can go off. But ultimately the best thing about it is the freedom to create the life of your dreams through using our platform in whatever way you like, and that's the beauty of it. Yeah.
Okay, so what do you love about what you get to do?
I think the most satisfying part, and what I love about my part the most, is basically just showing people what's possible. Most people come on board on Bricklet and they don't really see what's possible. They don't see how it's possible to have a few grand and a stable income and get on the property ladder today. Or,
that's exciting.
Or actually create a passive income for themselves now, start right now. And it's so much more accessible than you realise. And to see their reactions and to see them start, to create the results that they're after, there's nothing more rewarding than that. And that's honestly the best part of what I get to do.
So, as we wrap up, what would you love to say to our community?
Well, guys, I think we're creating something really special. Not to toot our own horn too much, but where else are you going to be a part of a community where you can talk about, everyone can share about their own strategies and their own ideas. No one really talks about it. It's all oh no, this is my strategy, it's for me. Whereas this creates that, I guess, that abundance mindset of just everyone can, take a piece, like an apple from the tree, if you will, and share your strategies and call up. I want to talk to you. I want to know what's going on, and help you get started if we can.
I think it's so cool. I mean, it really is that simple, isn't it? I mean, I know it sounds like it sounds like we're trying to sell something, but it really is that simple. Just pick up a phone, have a chat, have a conversation, a real dialogue about things and about where you're at, and hopefully shed a different view or a different light on what you have in front of you, and see where you can go with it. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Cool.
It is simpler than you realise, and we can show you how to do that, and it's not complicated. The process we've made, the idea of Bricklet is we've made it simple for you to do it. So just call up, have a chat, and see. We'll go from there.
I know you're only a younger, but any parting words of wisdom?
Don't smoke. Invest young.
Yeah.
That's it.
Cool. Thanks, buddy. Awesome. Mr. Matt Brown.
Hey Ray, how you doing?
Good, mate. Grab a seat.
Thank you.
Wow! Oh, jeez, you sat down. Oh, we go. How are you, mate?
Very good. You?
Good. Thanks for joining me.
No problem. I had to get out of the house. Kids on holidays on COVID
But we are
lockdown.
practicing COVID safe.
We are, definitely.
Yeah.
1.5 metres.
Yep, cool. So, Bricklet Specialist, you look after the Bricklet Specialist team. Now, we've obviously been, in a lot of our communication out, we've been encouraging people to book an appointment, to have a chat with you or your team.
Yep.
And some of the feedback that's been coming back is that they're just not sure what that actually looks like, feels like, or smells like. What does a Bricklet Specialist do?
So what we do is we try and identify with the individuals what their personal and financial goals are. And because a lot of people don't know where they want to actually go yet. So if you don't know where you want to go, it's going to be very difficult for us to help you get there. So one of the initial things is to really get an understanding of where they are now, where they want to go, and then I help them put together the strategy and the tools to get them there.
So I guess that's what that discovery call is all about.
Yeah, so a discovery is for both parties to actually learn more about each other. So there's a lot of questions from the new members asking about how Bricklet works and how they can build a Bricklet portfolio. But it's also for us as Bricklet specialists to better get to know our members. So the better we get to know them, the easier it is for us to be able to assist.
Yeah, cool. And then obviously flowing on from that discovery call where you're both trying to find out from each other whether there's a groove, whether there's a vibe, it's going to work, and helping, that next step. That next step really is then having a strategy.
You're making it sound like a first date, Ray. Don't worry, I'll vibe with you guys.
That strategy session.
Exactly right.
Yeah.
So, look, when we move into the strategy session, it really is about going through the nuts and bolts and the finances around affordability. So, which bricklets are going to best fit into their portfolio to meet their short-term, long-term goals. And then we work through a couple of those different solutions or a couple of proposals, and then the members get to then choose whichever bricklets they want to buy, and then they can always come back to me and ask any questions about that on an ongoing basis as once they've started to buy bricklets and they see how easy it is for their wealth to start to grow, they're always on the platform looking for more opportunities.
Yeah, cool. Now, obviously, over the last number of decades, you've accumulated a fair bit of experience around investment, property, all of that stuff. But before that, what did you do?
So I was a financial advisor before I was a
Before
Bricklet
that?
specialist. Before that,
Before
I was
that.
a school teacher. I was a PE teacher.
You're a PE teacher.
You got me. I was a jock.
So the reason why I'm asking that is because, obviously with the community, what do you see as far as your contribution to that community, growing that community, helping that community?
Ray, you know me really well. A passion of mine is to help people create success in their lives. And the best way that I've been able to do that so far is to teach people how to create time freedom and financial security. Finance is one of those things that just never gets taught. Setting goals, time management, all these things, they're like the building blocks, foundations of success. And everyday people just never spend the time to actually learn and implement these types of strategies. So I see myself as, a Bricklet specialist, teaching and sharing my experiences so that the Bricklet members, the community, can thrive in life, because it's what I'm really passionate about.
And I know because you've been working with, a broad range of our members, from, people in their early 20s looking to try and get started, to more sophisticated, well-versed investors.
Yeah, so we really have like three key types of clients that I'm dealing with on a day-to-day basis. The first one is people that are sort of pre-retirees or retirees that have got self-managed super funds that want to add direct property to their asset allocation. So we're dealing with a lot of those people. We're also dealing with a lot of what we call sort of millennials that are looking to sort of rent vest. So they either are living at home, saving lots of money, or they're living where they want to live, can't necessarily afford it to buy in that area, and want to start building out a property investment portfolio. So that's two of them. And then the other one is people similar to myself who are we middle-aged now?
Are you middle-aged?
I don't know, somewhere between 35 and 50 who have got some kids at home, got a big mortgage, and they're looking to try and pay that off as quickly as possible using some debt recycling and other strategies that can be implemented by using bricklets.
Yeah, because obviously I've been in the background when you've been on the phones talking to some of our community members, and like I said before, whether it's talking to somebody in their early 20s or to a more sophisticated investor, your ability to, break down the complex to make it simple and easier to understand so that they can then work out how to best use that knowledge that you're sharing with them to suit their particular circumstances. Because you often you can watch a myriad of different videos and stuff on the internet, and unfortunately a lot of them will use language and jargon that we don't understand. And yet you seem to be able to, break that down.
The investing community has made it difficult for a specific reason, so that the average person doesn't feel like they can go out and create investment portfolios and success for themselves. They need to go and pay professionals to do that for them, asset managers, financial advisors, etc., etc. But, you've heard me say it like probably 1,000 times. There's no such thing as a silly question, except the one that's not asked.
Yep.
So I answer questions from sophisticated investors looking at allocating quite significant amounts of capital onto the Bricklet platform, and then also very first time, they're looking at spending all of their money, or a large majority of that, on their very first investment. So from the novice to the experienced professional, I love dealing with them all and helping them all thrive and create success. So there is no silly question. If you do happen to jump on a call with me, please ask as many questions as possible, because some of my rules are never invest in anything that you don't understand. You really have to have a thorough understanding of what you're doing with your money, because it's your life and you need to create success in it for yourself.
That's cool, man. You often tell me that I ask too many silly questions, so that obviously, does that refer to me?
No more silly questions from you,
okay,
mate.
fair enough. Well, while we're on that note, while I've got the teacher on the couch,
here we go.
Let's just see if we have actually any questions here at the moment.
Is this a setup?
That may be. Oh, yep. Oh, we got a lot more people. Sorry, that have just joined. No, I've got no questions at this point in time. So, but maybe if I do get some questions, I might need to pull you back on
Pull
the
me
couch,
back
mate.
on? Yep,
Cool.
no problem.
All right. Well, thank you very much, Matt.
Thanks, Ray, and thanks for listening, everyone. Look forward to catching up with you soon.
Cool. All right. Well, I think it's time for the big fella to join me on the lounge, Mr. Greg Dixon. Thank you, Greg.
Thanks, Ray.
Thanks for joining us tonight. And I reckon not many of our community would actually even know that you exist.
I come under the radar, Ray. I fly low.
So, what do you do with Bricklet?
What do I do with Bricklet?
Yeah, who are you in Bricklet?
I am the licensee in the background that looks at the properties that we propose to put on the platform
Yeah.
and do due diligence on those properties and provide an opinion on what I think of those properties, the merit of them,
Yep.
where they are located, just a whole array of things we look at,
Yep.
and the yield to see whether that we think that's a good investment for other people and if it would be a good investment for me. Because I've been involved in the property game, investing
For
myself.
how long?
I prefer to say from 1985 when I was 2. No, when I was 18.
You were there when Torrance Title came into existence, weren't you?
Yeah, just before.
Yeah, there we go. Cool.
So I started early on. My father encouraged me to get into property when I was 18.
Yep.
And I've been involved in it quite significantly throughout that time, which is I think 30-something years.
Yep.
So it's a little bit of time, and I've had my lessons along the way.
Yep.
Had my successes and had my things that didn't work as well, but I learned from those.
Yep.
And through those things that teach us lessons, we get better in life.
Yep.
And so it helps. I think it's a great background to really view property with no emotion, just on the numbers and how good it is, the area, the yield. It depends on what you're looking for as a capital growth or yield or whatever it might be. But there's a whole array of things, and I love doing it.
Yeah.
I love looking. It's a passion. Always has been a passion.
Yeah.
I tried to go into shares for a while, but I ended up coming back to property because I just love it.
Yeah.
I just enjoy doing that.
And I think it's an important note that all our Bricklet specialists are actually licensed
Yes.
to be able to speak about real estate.
That's
they
right.
are property professionals.
Correct.
Yep.
Yep.
And they sit under the license, which you are the licensee.
That's right.
And yes, we do our DD on properties to make sure they. Not that we're making decisions for the marketplace, because that's not what we're doing, but it's more about, I guess, providing the right information to our team if they're giving any particular recommendations,
100%.
for example.
Yeah. Yeah. So we provide the team with a fairly extensive overview of each property.
Yeah.
And if a client or somebody wants to ask about that property, any detail, we generally have all that detail
Have the
there in front of
information
them.
there.
Yeah.
So what do you love about Bricklet?
What I first loved about Bricklet was I saw the opportunity for people the age of my kids.
Yep.
So my kids are in their late teens, well now they were then, but now earlier 20s. And I could see as an opportunity where they could get into the market like I got in early. They've found it, and everyone says it's more difficult for young people, but I saw this as a way to make it so much easier. And also not to overextend themselves at early age. I must say when I started, it was a bit of an overextension.
Yep.
And I learnt from that, and I didn't want that same stress level for my kids. So I saw Bricklet as an opportunity for them to get into the market, get in now, not have that fear of missing out. You're in the market, and once you're in the market moves with you.
Yep.
Rather than being left behind like a lot of people have felt in the particularly in the last 12 months.
Yep.
People didn't move, and they've been caught out, and they can't save as fast as the market's moving up.
Yeah, of course.
The other thing I love about it, which my kids are also into now through Bricklet, is diversification. And one of the key things when you invest is you generally invest where you can afford. But my kids, through Bricklet, have been able to invest in Manly in Sydney and in Avalon Beach in Sydney. Now, they are not cheap suburbs.
No, that's right.
But they're beaut suburbs to get into, particularly for capital growth, and they're highly desired areas.
Yep.
And that's the beauty of Bricklet, is the diversification for them, so they can get a Bricklet in Melbourne, in Brisbane, in Sydney, wherever they want to in Australia, and get that diversification much easier than if you try and buy one property at a time like we've had in the past.
Yeah, absolutely.
So they're the things I love about Bricklet.
Yeah, awesome. Cool. Well, thank you so much,
Pleasure.
Mr. Dixon.
Thank you, Mr. Jordan.
We've actually got a few questions that have been popping up, and so I'm going to go through some of these questions. I'm going to ask maybe Darren. Mr. Darren, you want to join me on some of these questions?
Sure. Right.
So one of the questions we've got here is, how is the rent collected and paid to all the owners?
Good question.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, absolutely. It's very important.
It
Rent's
is.
important. We want to know how
Well,
to
it's
get
the
our-
income part
we
of
wanna
the
get our
property that
income,
we
right?
love about property.
Yeah,
Yep.
absolutely. So every property has a property manager
Yep.
assigned, and they're obviously managing the property. They're like an asset manager. They're looking after the property. They're paying the bills. They're collecting the rent. Very
Yep.
important. That goes into the Bricklet platform and paid into the Bricklet accounts every month for the people that own those properties.
So I guess it's just in proportion to the bricklet that you own in that particular property.
Yeah, absolutely.
So the rent less expenses of that property, whether it be rates, management fees, whatever have you, the normal costs associated with owning investment property.
Yep.
And then the net proceeds of that get distributed amongst the bricklet owners in proportion to the bricklets they own in that
on.
property. Goes into their bricklet wallet. Yep. Where they can accumulate it or they can withdraw
Yep.
it or do whatever they want with it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Cool. Awesome. Hopefully that answers your question. Another question here around buy now. Now this person, Anton, had been working with Matt and had a couple of questions around the buy now, pay later properties and how it's at the moment it's a limited opportunity because obviously it's not available across the board. And they're just curious because it seems like a good way for people to start building a greater portfolio. So where are we at to with that?
Yeah, that's a really good one. So the buy now pay later was very limited opportunity to start with. We wanted to test the market and see if it was something valuable to our clients. We've got a lot of people asking for it, and so we're working very closely, around how we can deliver more of that. So there'll be some announcements in the next few weeks around more and more buy now, pay later bricklets being offered.
Exciting.
out there.
Yeah,
so it's
because
gonna
I
be
know
very exciting.
the feedback we have got from the community is and also from Matt and the team, is that as one of the strategies, it's a popular one.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah,
absolutely.
cool.
Yeah.
Another question here is, do you only offer new build properties on the platform or are you looking at existing properties also? And by the way, Anton says thank you.
Great.
Thank you, Anton, for the
No worries,
question.
Anton.
Cool. So new build. What about existing properties?
Yeah, so existing properties, again, there's a whole range of things that we'll be delivering over the next, few months with Bricklet. And the existing properties, there's just a few challenges around older properties. And so, as we get through those, then we'll be able to start putting those existing properties, that are older properties onto the platform. So one of the benefits of new property is that it does come with like a builder's guarantee. So you know that for at least for 10 years, if there's something, really wrong with it, then it's going to get fixed.
That's the idea.
There are much more, it's a little bit safer. Let's just say that.
Yep.
So, we're just working through some of the ins and outs around existing property, but it will be coming on soon. We do get asked that a lot. And so, pretty much every week we'll get one or two requests as a minimum from people, wanting to know can they use the platform for their property. And one of the reasons for that also is, and again, go back to that kind of how people are looking to use the platform for different ways to do things. And it's one way is for equity release. So there's a lot of people going there, I've got this big asset, I don't really want to sell it. I don't need it so much anymore.
Yeah.
But can I sell it down? And so Bricklets as a concept, as a platform, really works well for that. It's just there's a few things we have to iron out before we can do that.
I think there are two things there that I get really excited about. One is obviously as the marketplace continues to mature, you'll see a greater range and diversity of opportunities in that marketplace, whether it be residential, whether it be commercial, industrial, retail, because the platform can cater for all of that.
Yep.
The exciting thing is some of the ideas and the questions that we get asked from the community like this is, can we do this? Can we do that? How can this be done? They're thinking outside of the box, not just saying that's what's there, what else can be there and what can I do to be involved in that? And I think as the whole thing continues to mature and develop, we're going to see more and more of this stuff coming out. Yep. Which is, again, coming back to the whole idea of the real innovations are going to come from within the community on how to use this platform.
Yeah,
which
absolutely.
is really,
and that's why we're really excited about, when we released the version 2 platform and having the community, forum, let's call it that, where people can, these ideas can get fleshed out in a lot more detail.
Yep.
So if we do want to do existing property, what does that mean? And actually be asking the community and getting an engaged feedback from that, makes it much more powerful as well.
Cool. Do you mind if I ask Mr. Dixon to come back and answer a couple of these other questions?
No worries.
And then Mr. Brown, I might ask you to answer a couple of the other questions because they're outside of my depth. I need the big guns to give me a hand. This is a really good question from Dale. And I think it's, what are the attributes we are looking for from a property to have capital growth so that you can bring specific property onto the platform? One thing I want to clarify is that we don't actually necessarily bring property to the platform. It's the marketplace. And yes, opportunities come that we work with the vendor to be able to utilize the platform, but we don't actually, as such, bring or pick the properties.
No, it's not up to us to pick. It's really up to the individual to pick. It's like when you go into the market, if you go to realestate.com.au or wherever you go, you're looking at property. You choose your own properties. What we do in our due diligence in the background is look at the location. We give our guys just information about that area. So if you want to know a bit more, we can tell you a bit about that, but it's up to you to choose which property you want.
But I think some of the education that we're going to be curating in that community space is around things that we would look for when we are trying to identify the right property to park our money.
Yep. 100%.
So what kind of things would you look for when you're trying to identify a property for capital growth and for higher yield, for example?
Capital growth generally is where most people want to be. And it's usually near a lifestyle location, northern beaches, eastern suburbs, wherever, inner suburbs, near
infrastructure,
amenities,
transport.
Amenities, train stations, good transport, new areas that are growing. The airport out Western Sydney. There's opportunities out there as we go forward. It's where people want to be, and there's all those different reasons for it, for lifestyle, for
which is really interesting, isn't it? Because at the moment, with COVID over the last period of time, that's changed.
It's changing a lot. It's continuing to change. It's actually the areas that people liked before, they're loving more, and regional centres are starting to grow a lot more because people can see themselves being able to not necessarily be in the city all the time to do their work.
Yeah.
So they might have to come to the city, once a week rather than 5 times a week.
Yeah.
So they're choosing to live out further, but nicer lifestyle areas.
Yeah.
So they generally will go out further or go to places they want to be.
Yeah.
The Gold Coast, Sunshine Coast, you see them grown enormously the last 12 months.
Central Coast in New South
Coast.
Wales, Queensland coastal areas.
Yep. Down the Clamour, down through that way, Wollongong.
Regional areas in Victoria.
Ballarat's going nuts. Yeah, so we see a lot of that change and movement, and we've been able to pick a reasonable amount of it, not all of it. Particularly some of the regional centres has reversed what it was doing the previous 10 years.
That's right.
In its growth.
Yes.
So we're looking for what people are looking for. What are they looking for? Where is it? Where they want to be, and what do we think it's going to do going forward? Because we as a team keep an eye on not just what's happening in the property market, but what's happening on a macro level in regards to what's happening here. How does that affect? And everything I look at, and it's daily, I'm looking at articles. It's how is that going to affect the property market? Because I live and breathe it, and look at what effect will have in these different areas.
And I guess there's so much criteria you need to look at, and so it's success in property. There are 2 things. One is always buying right.
That's right.
And that comes from doing your research.
That's right.
Knowing where it is and what it is that you're going to be buying, and then always that medium to long term strategy.
Always medium to long term.
Now there might be some short term goals. You might be looking for a higher yield in the beginning. You might be looking for, say, higher capital growth initially.
Yes.
But in the medium to long term, both of those should be working for you, both the capital growth and the yield. And there are so many different factors to look at.
That's right.
And especially with the changing landscape, it's so important to stay on top of whatever those trends are, to try and see where it is that's going to give you what it is that you're looking for.
That's right. And we'll be sharing our insights with the community as we go forward, because that's it's about sharing that. There's so much around. And to help people, they can listen to that and just help try and identify themselves where would they like to buy.
Yeah, cool.
Because one of the biggest things, as I have been and am a big investor in property, is particularly when I start out, is where do I buy? What's the best location? Where is it?
Yeah.
And it's actually, there is some fundamentals but ultimately it's holding for the medium to long term, particularly.
Yep.
And what sort of income can you get from that?
Yep.
Because that's, you and I have discussed this before. Some of the lessons we've learned in life is keep more of the properties we've had.
Yes.
Because they would just increase in capital growth. Yes, and the yield you get off them.
That's
for
right.
ongoing
Yep.
is tremendous.
That's a generational wealth creation
Correct.
strategy.
Yeah. There's a lot. Yeah. There's some
Cool.
pretty experience, a lot of experience in our team.
Cool.
From our lessons.
Yep.
Yep.
Thanks so much,
Okay.
mate.
Thank you.
Mr. Brown. All right.
Can I add one thing?
No?
Please.
Yeah, go. Cool,
So
buddy.
one of the most innovative things that the Bricklet platform brings to its membership is the ability for you to be able to purchase a Bricklet anywhere in Australia for around about the same price. Now, historically, when I've worked with people that want to buy an investment property in terms of an entire property, the strategy goes something like this. How much capital do I have? What's my borrowing capacity? What's my total purchase price? Let's just call that $700,000. Then we look at which areas can I afford to invest in for less than $700,000, because any area over and above that is instantly excluded because I simply cannot afford to buy in those areas. Now, what the Bricklet platform does is it levels the playing field for investors. Now, affordability becomes much less of a decision maker or a reasoning for that decision, because now all Bricklets are priced somewhere between $20,000 to $30,000. So that levels the playing field for all of our members. So you can buy a Bricklet in Manly for under $20,000. You can buy a Bricklet in Brisbane for around $20,000. You can buy a Bricklet in Melbourne for $20,000. But when you look at buying a whole property, the average price in Sydney is just pipped over $1 million. In Melbourne, it's around $750. In Brisbane, it's around $550. So a lot of investors' decisions on where to buy is driven by price. Now, it's not going to be driven by price. It's going to be driven by your ability to linking into the community, educating yourself, and making tremendous investment decisions.
And I think that answers a couple of the questions that we actually had pop up, Matt, which is around dividing property. How does that all work? And like you said before, it flattens the playing field, where you said buy a Bricklet amount. It's up to you. And how you want to build your particular diverse property portfolio is up to you, based on the research and information that you're gathering to make that decision that works for you and your particular goals.
Yeah, absolutely correct.
Cool. One of the questions here is, can I use my super to buy property?
So yes, the short answer is yes.
Yes.
The more complicated answer is you can't buy Bricklets with your retail superannuation or industry fund. If you are looking to have direct property as an asset class within your superannuation, you need to set up a self-managed super fund. So a self-managed super fund basically means that you're setting up a superannuation trust for yourself, and then you become the trustee of that particular superannuation trust. And then you make all of the investment decisions. Everything is on you. You're not paying someone else fees to make those decisions on your behalf. Now, if you want to find out a bit more information about self-managed super funds, please go and speak to your accountant or a financial advisor and get some advice.
Yep. But the short answer is
Yes.
because it's direct property.
Correct.
Yep. A superannuation fund can buy or invest in Bricklet to buy Bricklets because you're buying direct property. The superannuation fund is the registered owner of that bricks and mortar.
Correct.
Yep, cool. What else have I got here? Oh, the couple of questions here just on the transactional side of things around, do all the Bricklets for a property have to be sold before you can start earning rent? Do all the Bricklets in a particular property have to be sold before it completes? There are a couple of technical things around that, but the long and the short is this, is that when you choose to buy a Bricklet on the platform, within a period of time, it'll settle and you'll become the registered owner of that Bricklet. And the moment you're the registered owner of that Bricklet, you're entitled to start earning rent.
Yep.
You don't need to wait for anybody else. And the whole idea is it's built around this idea of independent part ownership. You own that particular Bricklet. You don't need to wait for anybody else to make decisions. You get to choose. And I know that one other question here is, if I want to sell, can I choose to sell? Yes. If you want to sell your Bricklet, you can choose to sell. What are the steps if you want to sell your Bricklet?
Okay, so if you own a Bricklet and you wanted to sell that, you've got two options. The first option is you can do a little bit of research yourself, log onto your platform, hit that big red sell button, and then you can list that bricklet for sale. That is how easy it is to sell. And then the marketplace will come to you with offers, and then that will get sold. So we've had some secondary transactions on the platform. It's about less than 20, but they've all transacted in sort of 2 to 4 weeks. So it's a similar period of time as if you were selling an entire property, but the conveyance period is a lot shorter. So it's around 2 to 3 days for that to transact across currently at the moment.
Another question was also around, is there a market for it? And I guess it's the market that will tell us that based on typically price.
Yep. So you can sell anything for everything has a price. So there are always people on the platform looking for deals, I guess. So what people are sort of saying is, if I need to liquidate my bricklet really quickly, can I do that? And I say absolutely yes. There will be people there will be members on the Bricklet platform looking to pick up high yielding properties. So if you've owned a bricklet for quite many years, you've made quite a significant amount of capital growth, hopefully, if you made good investment decisions. Therefore, people will be out wanting to buy those properties from you.
Cool. Another quick question here, and then I think we'll start to wrap it up. And any questions that we don't answer tonight, we'll make sure we note down, and I'm happy to send out to all the attendees tonight and circulate the responses that which we've missed. But just the last couple of questions here. So, do you target new building apartments that usually come with higher body corporate fees, or smaller townhouse villa type builds? No, we don't actually target anything. It's a marketplace, and so vendors come to us, and we work to educate vendors on how to use a marketplace to sell their property.
Yep,
Because that's
correct.
really, they're just simply selling smaller pieces of it.
Yep.
And so, as I said before, the marketplace continues to mature. Yes, another answer question here is, yes, there will be commercial properties. We're currently talking to commercial property owners, industrial, retail, residential, hotel and leisure. If it's managed by the Torrens titling system, we can deal with it, because bricklets are simply tenants in common ownership. Your name is registered on title.
If it's direct property with a title, we can fragment it.
Cool. All right. Last question is, I keep getting asked this same question by this person called Justin. Justin, you want a t-shirt? I will get you details. I will send you a Bricklet t-shirt. All right. Thank you everybody so much for joining us tonight. Hopefully you got a bit more of a glimpse into the team, the insight around us and what makes us tick, and the things that get us so excited. We hope that that we've connected with you, and that you feel a little bit more confident about picking up the phone, having a chat to Adam and the Member Success Specialist team, or having a chat to Matt and the Bricklet Specialist team about how you can start that discovery strategy process. But once again, thank you so much for taking the time out tonight to join us, and we will be in touch very, very soon. Good night.
Good night.